Hey, Lucky, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing great. Um, I gotta tell you, man, I watched Old Man a couple days ago. I was blown away. I
Oh
thought
shit, good.
it was a fantastic movie. I love that it was kind of like it was like a cat and mouse game between Old Man and Joe, and then that ending was unexpected. I was not expecting it to go the route it did. I thought it was going to go one
Oh,
way, but
we
wow,
got you then, huh? We got you.
got you. Yeah,
Awesome, man. That makes me feel good. That's the whole reason we make these things.
yeah, exactly. So my first question is, how did you get involved with the project?
Marc Senter brought me this script that had been that his friend Joel had adapted from his own play called Old Man, and I just saw something in it. I had an instant personal connection to it. I felt like I knew this old man, and I knew these types of people because of the kind of rural country environments I had grown up in, and I thought that that would be a really interesting portrait to paint. Um, so that and then I Marc and I started setting about. Marc was working as a producer as well, and obviously wanted to play the part of Joe. And Marc and I had wanted to work together. We'd known each other for many years and had dabbled on some things. We'd made a short film together, and he was in a film. He was the lead in the film that I produced back at the beginning of my career. But we'd never had that full meal experience of actor working with director on a
Yeah,
movie, so this was the one. He found it. He was like, I think I found the thing that we can do together, and he was absolutely right. And then I worked with the writer, and we had a really good back and forth, and we did our best to, he did a great job in kind of helping me pull it into like a more cinematic space. So it was great working with Joel, and then when Paper Street Pictures came on board with Aaron Kuntz and all those guys, it just it became a real boy at that point. We shot this thing in upstate New York in the dead of winter at the height of the pandemic, pre-vaccination. So we worked in our little bubble, and we got it together. So it was a glorious experience, and especially because the previous year we had all been cooped up in our houses,
yeah,
So we were all kind of pulling from something. I think as we were making the film, we were pulling from our own personal experiences from the previous year. But alternately, it was just so wonderful to be around a bunch of people and be creating something together again.
I totally agree.
We were very, very grateful for that experience.
Exactly. I talked with Marc last night, as a matter of fact, and I had a blast talking with him. And
He's great.
so, yeah, he is. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, man, Stephen Lang is born to play these type of roles. I mean,
Yeah.
after Don't Breathe 1 and 2, and then even VFW, where he played this grizzled war veteran. I mean, he's born to play these type of roles. What, from your experience, what was it like working with Stephen?
Wonderful. Before we cast him, I actually, you brought up VFW. I asked Joe Bigos what it was like working with him, and he was like, "You have to hire him. He's just the best," and he was 100% right. So thanks to Joe for that, because Stephen has been doing this longer than any of us. He's been acting since I was 5 years old. He's been doing it, film, TV, theater, all of this stuff. That tremendous skill set that he has, it was a real honor to be able to showcase that, and share with people like, yeah, he was the bad guy in that one movie you watched, and he was the supporting part in this other thing, and he was on that TV show you watch every week. But this is about him, and this is about showing, the ability he has and the command he has on screen, and then alternately to, have him playing across someone like Marc, who is just gets so deep into his character and was so like deep into the way he reacted to everything that he was doing, and this interplay, this duel that's happening between these two men was just a glorious thing to behold. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful
It totally
experience.
was. Even the intense moments where he's pointing his gun at him, he shoots, and then all of a sudden he changes his mind, goes, I'd like you to stay with me. I'm not, that way I won't be lonely. And then their separate stories were just, crazy too, because it's like they both have like some sort of both of them had like sinister motives behind their past. So it makes you wonder, It makes you wonder who's the more evil of the two by the time.
There's that push and pull that's happening, where it's like at first you're like, okay, who is this crazy old guy, and then this stranger, he seems kind of meek and everything, but like, is there something more to that, like the way that kind of goes back and forth. I mean, that was obviously the juiciest part of the whole thing dramatically. It was really fun to play with those dynamics.
Yeah, and then in their brief roles, Patch and Liana did a great job with their roles. They had the limited screen time. They still made this impact, and especially the part where Joe tells old man, my wife has these eyes that they're to die for. And I was talking to someone about the movie. I like you guys see this movie, and I told them that line, and they thought for a second, they're like, did it go this way? And I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but it did not go what you thought it was. But what was it like working with Patch and Liana on?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was first time working with both of them, and they were just magical beings. Liana just, she makes a huge impact in a very short amount of time in the film. And ultimately you learn how important her character is. The end, that it just has there's this grand sort of a feeling. And she's got such a unique look and vibe, and she was so plugged in emotionally. It was just a pleasure to direct her, and Patch is just a total pro, and just like and just very sensitive man, and he's playing kind of this slimy sort of a character, but man, there's just a great person underneath all of that, so it was just, I just lucked out, man. I got 4 out of 4 on great actors on this thing, and not only great actors, but good people, good collaborators.
Yeah. So one thing that I loved was, even though it was really, for the most part, the movie was really intense, there was some beats of comic relief. Like one of my favorite parts was when old man's telling the story about the Bible salesman, and he's like, I tied him to the stove. He's like, you tied him on the stove? That's dangerous. He goes, no. I tied him not on the stove. That's crazy. I tied him to the stove. I thought I was laughing when I heard it.
Exactly.
That was quite funny.
Yeah, and there's a lot of humor in the script, but also, a lot of humor comes out of the way an actor delivers a line, and the behavior they put under that, the kind of double meaning they can put behind things and everything. So that was really, really fun.
Yeah, and I noticed Steven's done that quite a bit in some of his films. He brings those beats of comedy in there. Like, you have to really get under the surface to realize.
But in this case, I feel like it never gets outside the reality of the story, or it doesn't get too broad. We had takes that were really broad, but I think what ultimately ended up in the film is a really nice blend, because you need those emotional dynamics as you're going through a story like this, because it is locked in one environment, and it's really about these two guys just kind of having this kind of dialogue duel with each other. They're singing a duet really in this movie. It's just it was really, really fun to try to get all that stuff right on the button with those guys.
So as a director, what challenges did you face during production, besides the fact that you were shooting at the height of COVID and everything? Were the other challenges that you faced in terms of when you were shooting, like the weather?
No. I mean, we shot on a soundstage, so we got to build the set from scratch, which was great. I mean, and the limiting factors of the material are a big part of what attracted me to the material, because it's like, okay, this is a big challenge. How can I make this single environment engaging, throughout the course of the film? We had a wonderful production designer, and we were able to build a lot of feeling and mood into the set itself, and a wonderful cinematographer and costume designer and Michael Bevins, and we just tried to create the proper atmosphere around these guys, and that felt appropriate to what was going on dramatically. It's like when it rains outside, that means more than it's not just a random thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's informing what's going on emotionally in that scene, stuff like that, and when it turns to night, how it turns to night over the course of this monologue that Stephen Lang delivers in the middle of the film. is just, it was really, really fun stuff to play with, and trying to do it in a way to where it's not really in your face, not where it distracts you from the performances in any way.
Right.
Was a really fun balance to try to figure out how to strike.
That's awesome. So finally, what's next for you after Old Man that you can talk about?
Nothing I can really talk about by name yet. I got to work on, over the summer, I got to do an episode of a fantastic new television show that's coming out at the beginning of next year. I'm really excited for people to see that. It's pretty wild. So that's coming up at the very beginning of next year. So that'll be cool to have something new out there. And you know, I'm working on trying to get the next film together, and it's a potentially controversial little piece of material that I'm very, very excited about. It took me a few years to kind of get over my fear of making it, but I think now is the time, and I'm really fired up to do that. And hopefully I'll be reteaming with a lot of the people that I made on Old Man.
That's awesome. All right, so Old Man will be out on October 14th, and I'm serious. Everyone's got to. This is one movie everyone's got to see, because
sing it from the rooftops.
Marc Senter really,
yeah.
Steven and Marc really bring it out in this movie. And Lucky, thank you so much again for taking the time to talk about the movie.
Thanks, man. It was great to talk to you. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.